Good, good. Oh my god, my window was open and I forgot about that. And the wind just came through. It's a cold, rainy day and it was very cold. I'm gonna close this real quick. That is 100% the cold open now.
That's a good idea to close the window. I'm not half asleep.
You and me both. You and me both. Also in like 20-ish minutes, my sister is gonna come up and we're gonna do shots to deal with the family stuff that's happening right now. So
You gotta leave this podcast because it's too late.
the second half of this episode is gonna be me partially intoxicated, but that's fine.
You're gonna be partially intoxicated. I don't feel good. Casual things.
Just all around normal episode. Which I feel like is a great point to start the intro. So welcome to A Fish and Flower Podcast. It's been such a long time since we recorded an episode. Because technically this is the episode that was supposed to go last week. But I switched the episode because stuff was happening with both of us, and it was just easier that way. I am Flower, aka Rose, and my fun fact for the past bit, I don't know, is that I told you about this. I cut my finger on a pencil. I asked my sister to throw me a stack of sticky notes and the pencil that's on my bookshelf last night. She did toss them to me. Neither one of us recognized the lead was like open because it was like it's a mechanical pencil. So I caught it, but the way I caught it, it slid. It like scraped up the side of my finger. It hurt initially, but then it started bleeding. And when I took the Band-Aid off this morning, it's a little swollen. It's fine. I put some Neosporin on it. It's probably fine.
Do you have a piece of lead in your finger or anything?
I did check.
Okay, good.
I did check. Yeah, it's not deep or anything. It's just that I bleed to anything. The amount of injuries I've had in the past week, and I bled in almost every single one of them. I'm surprised the ladder fell on my arm that I didn't bleed. So.
You're just like, oh yeah, I did this. Oh yeah, I did this. I'm like, girl.
Yeah, I ran into my dresser and scraped up the side of my thigh, and it started gushing blood. It was a good time. It happens so regularly, though, that I just have Band-Aids up in my room for that. Though I ran out of Band-Aids. I used the last one on my finger last night.
I mean, I have a scratch on my arm, and then I skinned the top of my hand a little bit, and I don't know how, so,
I love that for you.
And I have random bruises, so.
I mean, yeah, don't we all? Sometimes you just run into doorways accidentally. It's fine.
Okay, what is the...
You're thinking I'm Fish, aka Stingray?
Okay, I think...
It's been like 3 weeks since we recorded an episode, so...
I'm out of it, okay? I'm Fish, aka Stingray, and not only do I not know what's going on, and I don't feel good. I was watching a Plagued Moth iceberg video before this, and if you know who that is, and you know anything, just know it was not a normal content iceberg. So, I don't know why I decided to watch that, why I feel like this, but like, I have my life sorted out. That's just what I learned. That's how I learned about the facts of the cartel and stuff. So, anyways, should I mention other things that are in that video? No, for everybody's, I'm going to be shut up now. Please speak.
Okay, this is very much a stream of conscious podcast, very similar to how we talk to each other on a daily basis when we both have internet. But with less dog photos sent back and forth. My dog's been real adorable today. Real cute. On today's episode, we are talking about Shrek Smut. We can blame this all on Stingray. The actual book is titled, if I could...
Get in my swamp?
Yes, Get in My Swamp. I have it up. I had it up. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. Get in My Swamp by G.M. Ferry.
Hold on. Are we actually recording it? Are you accidentally muted? I want to make sure.
No, I double checked before.
Okay.
When I closed my window, I double checked. Don't worry.
Okay,
anyways, we can blame this all on Stingray. I I think it was around the time that I read the first Ice Planet book, and Dino Stud, that you sent me the first Instagram reel I saw about this book. And then it just kept on popping up in my feed constantly. And I was like, you know what, for the freaking podcast, I'll do it. This is not like, I call it Shrek Smut. I'm just gonna call it the Shrek Smut episode. But, that being said, it's like light Shrek references. Like, the fiance's last name is Farquaad. The main character's name is Leona, aka Fiona, but with an L instead of an F. The ogre's name is Beck, like Shrek, but with a B instead. There is the four-legged best friend character who talks a lot, but he's a little suspicious in this one. Okay, I'm just saying. There is not a dragon, sadly. I think there is a mention of a boulder. He does have an outhouse at his house. And I think that's about it for all the. Oh, and the fiance's family business is something to do with security, and it's like the Duloc something something something, which is the kingdom that Farquaad in the movie is like ruling. So that's it for references. 98% of the time, it's just ogre monster smut. That they just put Shrek tagged on there to get more eyes on it, which like makes sense for a marketing point. Yeah, I get it.
It does. Are there onions involved at any point?
I don't believe so.
Wow, that's bye. Actually, like, oh my. Okay. Anyways, secondly, can we talk about the cover?
I know, right?
Like, why is it actually like an amazing cover?
The second one is even better. I don't know. Some places say it's a novella, which this is already like just over 100 pages, so like an even shorter like sequel that's like about the same character, or I don't know if it's about the same characters or different characters. I'm not gonna read it. Or if it's like a whole other book in the series, and whatnot. But like, it's got two people on the cover and it's really nice. I like it. I will not be reading it. I'm just gonna say that now. I won't do it.
You're gonna mention this other cover and not show me? Wow.
I know, right? You can look it up in your free time. For those for those who like to get an idea of how long it's been since I've read this book, I finished it the 1st of May. It is currently the 24th of May. This episode goes up this Friday in like 2 days. I'm gonna edit it tomorrow. And
I love you.
I finished the notes for it last week because there were a whole bunch of technical issues where like Goodreads has this bug since like 2019-ish where occasionally a book, if you like go to look at the notes on Goodreads, it's just like, or highlights, because that's how I took the notes this time. I did it differently where I just didn't want to like take, because when you read an ebook and take notes at the same time, it's more difficult than when you do audio and taking notes. So I just took highlights, and then my plan was to just go back, look at the highlights, and then take notes based off of that. And it was a pretty good plan, except Goodreads wouldn't show me my highlights, because it would say that they didn't exist on my account. But if I opened them up on my Kindle, they were there, so I just went on the Kindle Cloud Reader and did it that way. But there's a bunch of technical issues like that. It's a bug that Goodreads had for like multiple years, and they just haven't fixed, because why does Jeff Bezos need to do that?
Oh, sorry. I was checking something and my phone just went completely black, even though I didn't lock my screen or anything. I was like, what the fuck? Am I hearing a woodpecker?
Before we go into this book, though, I have a very important question.
Well, I'm hearing a woodpecker right now. Like, okay. No joke.
Okay.
Yes, what's the question?
How was Legend born?
Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I woke up thinking about that shit. I swear to God, if I would have dreamed, I would have dreamt about that shit. Oh my God. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm. Just remember, every night I dream about that ball scene. I think about that ball scene before I go to bed. That's how I de-stress myself after a stressful day.
I hope you know I cried for like 4 to 5 chapters straight.
Yeah, also, when he calls her love at the end of the book. Literally, the first time I read that, I actually screamed. I literally went, yeah, it's...
Did you see the screenshot I sent you of the Google Translate? Because I was like, he did not. Like, I read
it. If I wasn't asleep when you finished it, because I went to bed pretty early, when you went to take your shower, I totally would have just, like, translated it for you, because he does say a lot more stuff in Welsh in the second one, and I, like, translated all of it. So, don't worry, I got you, fam. I got all the translations. But yeah, and when I saw that screenshot, I was like, oh, yeah.
So there's an audio on YouTube that someone did, so I listened to that for like the majority of it. And I did leave a comment on the last part, be like, "This is my best friend's favorite book. I am suing her for emotional damage."
Yeah, yeah.
You can go see that if you want.
That is hilarious. Yeah, it's a good time. Anyways, you want to talk about Shrek smut?
I suppose. I guess so.
You know, before we get into it, I'm just gonna say I rated it 1.5 stars. There's not many notes on, like, my actual thoughts throughout the book, because it's kind of obvious as I go and talk about it. It kind of feels dumb at points. It's kind of repetitive, especially with the main character and her whole thing being, like, her thinking about being dicked down by the ogre that kidnapped her, and then her being like, "Ooh, I need therapy." But she does that, like, multiple times. I think I mentioned it twice in the notes, but, like, she does that multiple times, and after the first time, I was like, bitch, shut the fuck up and actually go to therapy. She never fucking goes to therapy in this whole entire book.
One more
Spoilers.
thing about it, real quick. After I finished it, I was talking to someone, and I was like, "Hello, you're awake now. Can I have a breakdown about Legendborn to you?" And they're like, "Yeah." I broke down the whole entire plot. I didn't miss a damn thing.
It's a good time, fam. It's a good time.
But, like, I remembered, like, literally everything. Can you believe it?
Yes. I'm so proud of you.
Even, like, a lot of the lore that I don't understand, I remember, like, so much of it. I was so proud of myself. And when I was going back over the lore chart, I was like, "Oh, that one's for that one, and that character's that one."
Yes. No, literally, if one singular person DMs either one of us, and it could literally just be you DMing me, to do a Legendborn episode, I will 100% be down. Listen.
I thought that was already established. I thought that was already happening, bestie.
You know, I'd prefer if someone requested it. It's like,
too bad. Me, I'm requesting it. Me.
That's so funny.
We have
You gotta read Bloodmark first,
with
though, so we can do two.
I will. I literally think I will read it next month. But seriously, when we do the Legendborn episode, you have to name it Boy Talk with Sal. Like, you can't name it anything else.
Yeah. No, like, if we talk about Legendborn, I'm gonna go into Bloodmarked, and I can't spoil it for you, but
a double episode for Legendborn, one for Legendborn, one for Bloodmark. Ooh,
it's gonna be a party. But yeah, I guess we should talk about Shrek smut.
I guess.
I do this thing before I read books. Normally, I try to remember to do this. Where I look at the tags on Storygraph for content warnings. We love Storygraph for this. We love it. And when I did, I saw the tag of incest. So I'm just reminding you of this fact, because I did put in my notes. There is an incest tag, that was in kind of like my subconscious the whole time, and then I want to say maybe 5 pages before the incest started to happen, it just, like, I suddenly remembered, like, it was in front of my mind again. I was like, oh no, oh no. Yeah, that's a whole scene.
Why do you think that incest is necessary in books?
I don't know.
That's a genuine question.
But this book
like,
starts...
I kind of understand for, like, the Roman girls. I feel like that has a purpose. And then, like, Mexican Gothic, like, technically, it's like a sub-branch of horror, so, like, it kind of makes sense there, too. But, like, any other context, why?
If it's in a romance, why? Why?
Yeah.
Why? It's like the same thing where why is essay in, like, multiple romances I read this month. In the past, like, 2 weeks. I dated up one because it was, like, instantly starting with it, and it was like, that's the guy she's being forced to marry. And I was like, no, get me out. I can't.
I feel like since, like, October-ish last year, both of us have been reading Like, there's just been so many books popping up with incest, and it's weird. I don't like it. Can it go away?
Listen, I like Daemon Targaryen as much as the next girl, but please, we do not, this is not what we needed from Game of Thrones. From Game of Thrones, the thing we needed from Game of Thrones was the great dragon stuff, okay? Okay? The resurgence of dragon stuff. I mean, there's probably was still dragon stuff around fantasy, but, you know, making dragon stuff cool again. We did not need to make incest cool. No.
You know, I don't think we needed Game of Thrones to make dragons cool again. We just had to watch Dragon Tales.
That true. True. Anyways, this you know, I'm just really sad that this book didn't have a dragon in it. So sad. But this book starts with Leona. I fucking hate her name. It's so awkward to pronounce every time. But she's on her bachelorette trip at a silence retreat, planned by her soon-to-be sister-in-law, Victoria. She doesn't really get along with any of the other people there. The other people there are, like, all of her sister-in-law's, like, friends. And whatnot, and they're, like, she, like, comes from a super rich family, not Leona, Victoria does, and so, like, these are all, like, a bunch of socialites and whatnot, and Leona's the type of person who's, like, had to work her whole life, and so she's just, like, has nothing in common with any of these people. Yeah. Oh yeah, their last name is Farquaad. It's basically Farquaad, but it ends with an E, not A-D. The end.
I mean, at some point, just make it Farquaad. It would be so much better if it was just straight up Farquaad.
It's probably because of, copyright and stuff, but...
Who cares?
While at the silent retreat, while they're doing this, like, one thing where they're supposed to be, like, sitting in a circle in silence, just meditating, and she, is doing a poor job at it, she recognizes that none of this is her dream, bachelorette party or wedding. She describes her fiancé, Lawrence, as, and I quote, as bland and stereotypical as a 3-ingredient recipe.
You know,
I did put a lot of quotes in my, I did put a lot of quotes in my notes. I would just copy and paste them because I was like, sometimes it's too good. He's rich and comes from money, which Leona describes as the most important thing about him. Yup, he's the heir of Duloc Home Security Empire. Yeah. Leona's least favorite thing about Lawrence is his dick size.
Okay.
We learned so much about her. This is like the first 3 pages. Like, we instantly know her priorities. And how he won't use anything else in bed. Like, she'll, like, try to spice things up in the bedroom. She'll bring up ideas and whatnot to try other things. And other than just, like, normal, basic, heteronormative, penetrative stuff. And every time, he's like, we'll do it the one time, but then he'll make a big deal about doing it and be like, I'm not the biggest fan of that, and all this stuff, and it makes her feel self-conscious about it, so she just doesn't bring things up ever again, and just handles it herself. You can see they're clearly a happy couple.
Sorry, people went to find whatever his name is.
The reason she's willing to marry Lawrence, despite not loving him or his lack of bedroom prowess, is the sense of security and freedom his money gives her, since it's more than she's ever had before. I don't think I really wrote in my notes, but, her parents, she grew up in a trailer home. Both her parents were alcoholics who were abusive and forgetful. And of course, because her parents spent all their money on alcohol, and they were so drunk all the time they couldn't get jobs, they were, like, the poor alcoholics in the town and all this stuff, and so, like, since she was, like, 17, I think it was, she moved away from home, has been working in diners, and living paycheck to paycheck until she met Lawrence, and basically their whole entire relationship is just him, quote-unquote, taking care of her, basically making it so that she makes him look good, and he makes it so that she can live a life where she isn't living paycheck to paycheck. So, you know, at least she recognizes that this is just a thing in her life. You know.
Yeah.
And then it switches to Beck's point of view. At which point we learn the magical community has cable and internet, so they know what the real world is like.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Beck can survive off the animals he breeds, like alligator, because of course the Silence Retreat and where it takes place for the most part is in Florida. So he like breeds and eats alligators.
Where else would this be? Where else, honestly?
Honestly, where else could this take place? But he prefers the smoky taste of human meat. Fast food makes humans taste better. Fun fact. I would like you to know also politicians know about the magical community. Like they're in hiding, and they have like this border that like says and they have like a bunch of fences off that are like private property. If you cross this property, you will get shot. So like if someone does come through, the first person on the border is Beck, and he has like a bunch of traps, and occasionally a human does come over. Usually it's like homeless men and whatnot, who spring his traps, and then he eats them. And they stay hidden because the politicians know they're there, and they keep them hidden, because they give them money or something. I don't fucking know.
I feel like
and the only place this could actually happen is Florida. Hear me out.
No, because the moment you said politicians, my mind started going places without even mentioning. I need to watch some normal content before this next time. I don't know.
We forgot to do a very important part of this podcast, where you guess how many pages of notes I took.
6.
Yeah. I'm glad you're so happy with this. So Beck views himself.
No, I just guess it's nothing. Be so serious.
It's always 6 or 7. I don't know why. Oh yeah, so I wrote down a quote of that describes how Beck views himself, and I quote, "It can be rather lonely being the only 7-foot green, hilarious, and gut-wrenchingly handsome creature around, but it's a cross-eyed bear."
Why did he just describe me though? Like, no, he just described me. What is he talking about?
Ogres can eat vegetables.
So handsome.
Ogres can eat vegetables despite what the fairy books from Amazon that Beck has ordered say, which means that even in a magical community, Jeff Bezos will be there for you. How do they get deliveries though? Because wouldn't the delivery people get put in the trap and then die?
Maybe they just have a mailbox outside the fence.
They don't though. It's never mentioned.
Use your imagination. I don't know. It's a smut book. What do you want from me?
Listen, we are the same people who the whole entire time in the first and second Ice Planet Barbarians, we were questioning the 2 suns and the alligator creatures, okay?
Joel, I understand. You know I'm making them back. Now I have 2 things to think about when someone does dual sons. Like, be so serious, I hate you.
I'm sorry. His favorite meal is potato, carrot, and eyeball soup.
I was gonna say real until the eyeball.
I think that is a reference to Shrek because he does like he makes martinis, or I forget what the other version of martinis where it's instead of an olive, it's a tiny like mini onion. But instead of that, it's an eyeball that he has in his martinis. Which sometimes it has a vibe, But yeah, the way he knows so much about Shrek, I'm psychotic. He likes gardening, and I quote, "It keeps me busy, and there's something just so erotic about moving my fingers in such a way to make sure each delicate seedling grows to its full potential. I like to work with my hands and find different ways to improve my dexterity." In case you wanted to know how the vibe of this book is going, he finds...
I did not absorb any of that. I'm so sorry.
He finds gardening, sexual. Because he likes growing things from seedlings. Like, like...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand. I understand.
Beck would rather stay busy and do things he enjoys than get entangled with someone who could leave, betray, or die, hinting at a traumatic past.
He's so real.
Of course. I mean, he is the only ogre around. So, like, what happened to his parents? Cough, cough. Anyways.
Why is he so mean? Like, no, genuinely, he's so mean. Like, why is he
Just wait. Beck's job in the magical
mean?
community is to trap any of the humans that cross the border. I already talked about this. Um,
I should give a disclaimer. I am saying that, yeah, he's so mean. I don't eat humans. I am not cannibalistic. Thank you.
you know.
I've only
I
had
was
2 months
gonna
of
make
cannibalism.
I was gonna make a whole joke about lesbianism and eating human in a way,
Well, listen,
which is
that
funny because
would
he makes
require
a
me.
similar joke in the book about how when the first time he goes down, he's all like, "I'm willing to eat like this any day of my life. This is my new favorite way to eat human," and I'm just like, "Bitch, what the fuck?"
Yeah, eating humans would require to actually get some, like, I don't know.
um, and then it switches to Leona's point of view, and she, it like when you go into this book, you know it's a kidnapping romance, so you don't know it's a dream, but basically, for the first like few pages, it's all like her having this whole nightmare, but also erotic dream about being all oiled up and tied up to the bed, and some man comes in and is ready to take her and all this stuff. Um,
Um,
but then bum bum bum, it's actually a dream. So you think it's like actually when you actually think it's like an actual erotic like what's actually happening. Also, the kidnapper in the dream is Lawrence, and the room becomes like this super sterile room, like clean white room, and it turns into a nightmare as soon as the Lawrence comes in and starts going at it, which says a lot about their relationship. I'm just saying. Um, but yeah, no, it's like supposed to be like this cop, like it's a she's kidnapped already, but like actually no, she's not. It's actually just a dream. Haha. But after this dream, she decides to clear her head by going on a walk, and leaves a note for the others saying, "Going to clear my head, don't look for me." Um, I wonder if they'll look for her if she's kidnapped by an ogre. uh, so Leona isn't scared by much, so she decides to walk alone in the woods and swamp of Florida in the middle of the night. Also, I know for a fact, it's not brought up until later on, but I know for a fact what she is wearing is still her pajamas, which is a flimsy shirt and a pair of shorts, not wearing a bra or underwear.
um,
And it's at night in Florida.
um,
Um,
okay.
Leona grew up in a trailer with parents who would forget she exists / pick her up, so she's used to walking alone at night. Cool. Uh, she feels like Victoria and her friends are judging her, which wouldn't normally bother her since she grew up as a smelly kid with the poor alcoholic parents, but the LA socialite lifestyle judgments are getting to her. And I quote, "It's hard to find the strength to care of someone that's judging you because you're wearing TJ Maxx leggings instead of Lululemon when your childhood was like a World War II battlefield."
Um, I don't know how I feel about that one.
I know, right? While she admires the romance book view that you shouldn't settle for money and for someone who doesn't set your panties on fire, uh, but she recognizes that's not for girls like her because she needs to be realistic.
Like, I get it, but be serious at the same time.
I know, right? Um, she has accepted the life of a socialite with mediocre sex is the life she has to settle for when she falls into Beck's trap and passes out.
Okay.
And then it switches back to Beck's point of view, but we're going to take a momentary break here while I get alcohol.
Okay.
As an adult, I'm an adult. I need alcohol. So, I was gonna say
I'm
commercial
technically
break,
an
but what
adult.
the
You
fuck,
want
a
to say
commercial. You
that?
make elevator music for the next, like, 5 minutes while I do this. I don't know. You can say whatever the hell you want during the next 5 minutes. I won't hear it until tomorrow.
Are you gonna keep it in too?
It depends. I'll be back.
Well, how's the weather, besties? How are we doing? Genuinely going to sue Rose for emotional damage of me reading Listen Born. There will be a vlog about it. I really hope it's out by the time this podcast. It's not. What am I saying? She just said this one's supposed to go up this Friday. It's not gonna be out by then. I haven't even finished filming. Like, I haven't even updated my final thoughts. It's fine. Okay. I just want everyone to know I'm very excited to record the Tristic Venom episode. I finally rewrote all my notes and I literally highlighted and color coded things, and it's ready to go. We probably won't record it today, unfortunately, but I think that needs like a day on its own because I know that's gonna be so draining. Because Rose did try to read the book, she did not finish it. I gave the book 5 stars because I'm normal in my head. She should not give me free reign to speak for like 5 minutes because I will speak for 5 minutes straight. You know, casual things.
Hello, I'm back.
Hello.
The child will be coming up to join us. She will not be in the episode, but she will be up here so she doesn't have to deal with the drama that's going on. But it is a shot to kill later. Let's heck go. Who did I just get? What? Something from Snapchat from you. Save the camera roll. What do you save?
The screen recording.
Oh! From like forever ago?
Never did that. It was like a few days ago. Are you serious? I think I got them all.
Beck heard the trap go and assumed the human is passed out, but prefers not to see them in pain and hopes it actually killed them so he doesn't have to do it himself. Because he's like, you know, he may eat people, but he's a little bit of a humanitarian. He prefers if they're already dead when he gets to them.
He has a slight moral compass, maybe?
Maybe. He finds Leona and thinks she's hot, comparing her to a doll. Not the first time he does that. Well, no, it is the first time he does that. It's not the last time he does that. He does it multiple times. And then contemplates if the loneliness is making him imagine things. He carries her to his house, and she's wearing her pajamas, so he notices her nipples through her shirt. He wants to lick and taste every part of her, and goes for it, but Leona wakes up and starts freaking out, like a normal person.
Yes.
And I quote his thought process. Tie her up and have my way with her? Absolutely yes. Kill her? Hell no. So in self-defense, she kicks him to get away. But it doesn't even, like, bother him, because he's, like, a giant ogre, you know? Though it does turn him on even more. Yep, he bounds her up in his house, which turns him on even more again, but then he notices she's scared, and that makes him go flaccid.
Good.
She tries to escape, so he puts her in a cage next to his bed. He has there for, like, animals that he plans to slaughter.
Normal things, having a cage next to your fucking bed. Okay.
He finds the escape attempts cute. The cage keeps her in place, but also makes it harder for him to have his way with her. He considers himself a gentleman, so settles on defiling her in his dreams only. Because, you know, he's a gentleman. I fucking hate.
I guess that's how that works or something. I don't. What? Okay.
I miss Ice Barbarians #3. Okay.
You know what? Me too.
He sadly wants to protect her when it comes to mourning and blames it on her nice tits.
Okay.
He's already growing feelings for her, and as he watches her sleep.
Yeah, because that's normal.
There's a magical creature meeting, where he's like, yeah, so, this woman was the one who found the trap. Normally, it's, like, homeless men who do it to, like, people who won't be found, but it's, like, a beautiful young woman who's childbearing age. So, you know, she may be missed, if she died suspiciously and all this stuff, so some people are like, oh, what do we do? Should we kill her? What should we do? And he's all like, actually, I'd like to they decide that he can still kill her and eat her. But then he's like, actually, no, I'd like to keep her as my slave. And they agree to it.
they're just like, yeah, whatever. It doesn't really
I would
deal
like
with
to
us.
remind you, he considers himself a gentleman.
Um,
Yeah, he
okay.
feels jealousy when his centaur and in quotations friend, who is like the donkey of this book, mentions Beck, letting him have his way with Leona too. Like the centaur's like, oh, you should let me have my time with Leona. I want to have some fun with her too. You shouldn't be the only one with any fun and all this stuff. And Beck's just out here like really angry. Also, he doesn't actually like this guy. This guy's like the only person in this kingdom who, or creature village, I don't know, who will actually talk to him because everyone just ignores him all the time. No one really talks to him much. You know, he's just a loner. And this centaur thinks that since he's the only person who talks to Beck on a regular basis, that makes him his only friend. But Beck doesn't even consider him barely even an acquaintance. Like he's just someone he sees on an occasional basis, and all this stuff. It's a good time. Leona wakes up, and when Beck returns, he tries to have a moment with her, stroking her cheek when he goes to remove her gag. Oh yes, her point of view now. He made her French toast. She
Oh,
tells
hell
him
yeah.
her fiancé is rich and offers her money to let her go, thinking it's too early to start offering sexual favors for freedom. She's like, I don't know what an ogre will do with a bunch of money, but like, it's a little too early to start offering to bang him to go. I'm out. Like, it's a little too early. I'll try other things first. I'm like, hello, are you okay? Um, she threatens to make his life a living hell until he lets her go. He threatens to leave her in a cage forever if she's going to be like that and storms out. Because, you know, normal things. She knows him staring at her lips and tits, so she makes a plan to seduce her way to freedom with Operation... Oh, and she calls it with Operation Pussy Trap. That's what she calls it.
I can't lie, that's kind of funny.
Beck isn't really angry at Leona and is scared, trying to figure out what to do with her, you know? Well, Beck wants to bang her hard and rough. The idea of hurting her or forcing her makes him soft. A real gentleman, am I right, ladies? I cry in pain. He hopes his, and I quote, goody buddy Stockholm. Literally, he mentions good buddy Stockholm multiple times. Will help him out, and she'll fall in love with him, because that's the best option. Because she's stuck with him until she dies, because of this whole magical creature stuff. So, like, she can't leave. Either she dies, or she's his slave, until she dies. So it's just better for her if she falls in love with him. Yay! He goes back into the house, and it switches back to her point of view again. She starts doing basically like, you know, the stripper dance kind of in the cage when he returns, and
How big is this cage?
yeah, she's still in the cage, and she notices his erection. She's
No,
like pressing herself. She presses herself against the bars and plays with herself while making him watch. He recognizes this as an escape ploy, that it is, but he still pulls it out anyways and watches her. And you know by what I mean when I say he pulls it out.
Yes, I understand
her
the
thought process while this is happening is, he has the biggest dick in all the lands. That's not exactly what she thinks, but that's my translation.
Yeah, I could tell.
Shut up. He can smell that she's aroused and contemplates if she's faking it, so he stops stroking, so she'll finish before he does. You know the mind games these two play? She's embarrassed of reaching completion, so he lets her out so she can eat. He considers making fun of her and taunting her as wooing, because he's usually like taunting her a lot. Leona has faked orgasms for the past 2 years, so she's a pro now. Fun fact. She hates how Bex turns her on. He informs her he's eaten other trespassers, and she finds him endearing. You know, we love how that happened in the same paragraph. He's like, I eat people occasionally, and she's like, it should scare me, but I kind of find it endearing that he just tells me this. And I'm like, bitch, what? Get some help.
I mean, I guess he's honest, so like, whatever. I don't know.
You know, he gives her the tour of his place, that includes the outhouse. He makes her to feed her plenty, and she loves his cooking. There's only one bed. I really wish this wasn't the only one bed trope. I really wish. She's turned on by the idea that he's strong enough to snap her neck without sweating, and she recognizes that may not be normal.
I mean, yeah, that's, well, I don't know. I don't know what's going on anymore.
She has a new plan where she'll fake going to sleep, and then when he falls asleep, she'll escape. The plan is they'll both sleep in the bed. She'll lay down, say she's tired from all the tour stuff, and then she'll fake being asleep, and then he'll climb into bed, and then when he falls asleep, she'll leave. But she instantly falls asleep. She wakes up in the middle of the night. He's wearing gray sweatpants, and because of the gray sweatpants, she can see his dick outline, which turns her on. So she starts getting herself off. Oh, my sister just yelled, "Not the gray sweatpants!" You know that's accurate.
I kind of know that. It was funny.
So she starts getting herself off as she watches him sleep. But he wakes up to this, and her eyes are like half closed, so she doesn't notice that he's waking up. So he like half rolls on top of her, and he's like, "Do you want me to help you?" And she agrees. And he sticks his finger up in there. And we get the fun knowledge that one of his fingers, is bigger than Lawrence's dick.
That's kind of funny. That's very funny.
He memorized how she touches herself, so he knows how to get her off. Yeah.
I mean, I guess he's real for that.
After he gives her the best orgasm of her life, she rolls over in bed and gives him the cold shoulder. He doesn't forcefully take her in reciprocation, which surprises her in comparison to normal people, or normal men, but also disappoints her. Like, she's like, he didn't force me? How unlike normal people, like human men, which makes him more human than most human men she knows. But also, like, so sad, because I wouldn't mind if he did that, because I'd be into that. The way I'm not into this one, but I'm into Desperate Measures, is just so wild to me, okay?
I don't know what happens in that one, so I can't tell you what's wrong with you.
Yeah, that one has, consensual, non-consensual, like, stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
So, he, like, almost instantly starts with that. I'm, like, at the chapter where that starts. Yeah. It gets real. Like, they do have a safe word instantly, so at least there's that going for that one. Maybe that's why, because Katie Roberts has a way to write it where it's actually, like, even when it's dubious consent, you know that there is a way for them to get out of it if they want to, like, where both of them are okay if, like, this one person says this one word.
It's presented safely as it's supposed to be.
It feels more safe and more realistic in this safe way, that's, despite the fact that this is, like, a world where there's sex slavery all the time in the middle of this city that's, like, New York, but not New York. You know,
Okay.
And it's also Jafar and Jasmine, so, you know.
I still have the one on my Kindle, so I need to read that.
That's a lot of trip. I'll have fun with that one. But yes, I think that's why I like Katie Roberts, because it feels more, despite the fact that a lot of it is dubious consent, it is actually, like, more communicated about, and also, like, there's actually more communication, and we actually see them more be in love and actually have communication throughout all the books that I've read of hers than any of this dumb shit that I read. So, I could go into a whole tangent about how I prefer Katie Roberts, and that's why I prefer Katie Roberts. I won't. Until I read a Katie Robert for this podcast. It will happen. I'm currently doing it. So I don't know why I say it. It will happen. We learned the information. Beck is a virgin.
Oh.
Yep.
The second I don't know.
This is his second monster romance. In, like, in 2 months, I think, where he's a virgin. And every single time, I think of a different romance where the main male character is a virgin, and it's kind of sexual, and I prefer that one over both of those that I've read. So, that's fun. He thinks Leona was made for him. Everything sexual is instinctual for him. He considers her his. He constantly is like saying this in his head. He would die for her. He can fuck her in his dreams, so he falls back asleep. I don't know if my mom's home.
Okay, man out here lucid dreaming, okay.
I know, right? She regrets turning away from him, because now she'll never know what it feels like to bang him. Oh, my mom is home. That's okay. She already heard me talking about the First Ice Planet Barbarians. Hello, are you a wet Bella? Because it's raining outside? Hi!
Hi! Bella!
Say hi to the podcast, Bella!
I want to see her.
You can't see her.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Do you not have your phone?
Wait. Let me turn on the button, and then.
It's a Bella dog.
Are you a wet Bella? Are you a wet Bella? You a wet Bella?
I'm seeing a puppy right now.
She's a wet Bella. Hi. You a puppy? She's in my lap.
Also, hi. I haven't seen your face in a while.
Hi. You a puppy? Can I continue recording? Okay, bye. She left. Well, she's standing at the top of my stairs, but that's technically leaving. I can't reach her from here. She runs away. Oh, yeah, she officially does the plan once he falls asleep to run away. But he follows close behind, and, she hopes he catches her.
Oh, my lord.
I know, right? Even though she fears being caught again, she knows he won't harm her, and the idea of what he might do excites her. Why is this reminding me of A Soul to Keep? Anyways, he tackles her, and she knows if she screams, no one will come. Good times.
Okay.
She considers this all a game. Like, your whole entire livelihood is a game. Your life is a game. He knows she's aroused by the chase because he can smell it. I always, every single monster romance, they can smell it. Every single one. Every single one.
Yeah, I noticed that. I don't know how I feel about that.
If you
think about it, no, hold on. Can't Sal kind of do the same thing? Because, he can hear heartbeats, and, they all sense each other so well. That's very intense.
In Blood Marked, I'm pretty sure. But he does, hear her heartbeat during
everything else.
Scene, but she can feel his heartbeat during that one scene, so, they're both, breathing hard, if you know what I mean.
They can all sense it. They're all very in tune with each other. It's kind of, ooh,
Yes.
Anyway. I'm sorry.
He offers to let her go or fuck her. You can guess which one she chooses.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I am halfway through page 3 out of 6 notes. So, which one does she choose?
Obviously, I don't know which one you said first, but I think,
escape or fuck?
The second one.
Congratulations, you win. Emotional
What do I
damage.
win? Yeah.
He tears apart her flimsy pajamas, and she wishes she was wearing more just so she could hear him tear those apart too.
Not the pajamas.
I know. He eats a meal, if you know what I mean. And I quote, devouring me as if it's his last meal.
Okay.
And then he says, and I quote, I know I said I'd never eat a human again, but you taste so good. I'll eat your pussy for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. His fangs gently bite my earlobe.
Okay, hold on. Once again, I need to reiterate the fact that you said that he is a virgin, so he's just out here doing all this shit, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna pretend like you know what you're doing.
I know,
Okay,
right?
go off, I guess.
What man in the world of mans would ever mans? Am I right, mans? Anyways, like there's men who listen to this. Afterwards, he's worried he hurt her, and she says she'll just be sore. So he carries her home, and she gets comfortable enough in his arms while he's carrying her home that she falls asleep. He thinks, and I quote, "She's like a doll, my perfect personal plaything, but she's so much more than that."
Oh my god.
This is the second time he compares her to a doll. For those who are keeping track, yeah. What if I put the description for this episode? We like dolls too, or something like that.
That would be kind of cool. Do it.
So, she's asleep. He puts her in bed, and then he cleans her up. Nice, I guess. And then he starts massaging her legs. While she's asleep. Yeah, I don't. He feels well rested and euphoric. She wants to go down on him. She's excited by seeing the village when he takes her to a seamstress to get new clothes the next day because her only clothes have been ripped apart and she's literally wearing a potato sack.
Oh, that's funny. So funny.
Post-coital, she doesn't mind staying with her kidnapper because she feels comfortable with him. And I quote, "But for right now, I guess I'll just be an ogre sex slave. The thought generally thrills me." Her touch calms Beck. Oh, okay, so, the seamstress, there's, like, a bunch of stuff where he's, like, flirting with her in front of the seamstress, and the seamstress just, like, lets it go. And she's like, "I have things in the back that, like, can make young mans be so excited and all this stuff, and blah, blah, blah." So she takes her out back to get a bunch of fittings and get a bunch of new dresses and whatnot. And while he's out front just waiting, one of the wizards comes up, one of the younger wizards and whatnot comes up, and he's like, "Hey, fun fact, there's this potion that will take away a human's memory. We haven't brought it up before because we just assumed you liked being like the personal guard of the magical people and eating all the humans that come through, but like you never actually had to do that. Fun fact, cough cough." I hope you enjoyed that trauma of murdering a bunch of people. So, like, here's this potion. And Beck literally is like, "Hey, the fuck? Does anyone know about this?" And the wizard's like, "No, only the wizards know about it, and we won't tell anyone, blah, 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 blah." So he's like, "Cool, thanks," takes the potion and then throws him out of the store.
Why was this plot point necessary?
It's got kind of where Leona comes out wearing a white dress, and he's shocked into silence. His jaw literally drops.
I mean, I guess he's real for that.
She calls his house home, and it makes him happy. She keeps busy, it goes low-key into, like, the daily stuff of what their lives are like, where it's, a lot of, like, taking walks, and journaling, and gardening, and, of course, sex. Are any of us surprised? No. They also just spend time in each other's company, not talking or banging, apparently. She starts to question if she has real feelings for Beck. She decides to go swimming one day in a pond nearby, and, oh, yeah, this hilarious highlight, and I quote, "Hopefully a leash won't crawl into my vagina."
Kindly, what the fuck? Secondly, how long has she been there?
It doesn't say. I assume weeks.
Okay, considering how most like this goes, probably like 2 weeks max.
Lawrence will come back up, and he doesn't even say how long she will be gone, but it's assumed that it's a couple of weeks, and then a couple of weeks more pass after that, and then the book ends. I don't know. It feels like 2 months pass in the whole entire time of this book, and this is the first month that has passed, and there's going to be a second month that passed after this specific day.
Okay.
Because some things are about to happen. So, Beck's center, and I quote, friend, but not really friend, shows up, and steals her dress because she strips down. She throws her dress on the rocks and all this stuff, so he steals it so she can't get dressed. And she has to go to him to get dressed, which means he has to see her naked. Blah, blah. She's uncomfortable by this for obvious fucking reasons, you know. So Center Man tells her how Beck's family died. I just put. Also his name is Donnie. I did not put it down until this point what his name was. His name's Donnie. Okay. But basically he tells the story of how his family died, and instead of like trying to describe it, I just put down the whole entire freaking quote. So here we go. And I quote: "Well, we used to be not so concerned about our privacy. Beck's parents lived on the edge, but not necessarily to protect us. One day, a young boy stumbled past the signs and the gates. Beck's mom felt bad for the kid and tried to help him find his way back home. I guess the kid's dad was too far behind and shot Beck's mom. Beck's dad heard the commotion and ran out to find his wife and her head blown off. With her head blown off. He chuckled a bit, which is creepy. His dad killed the boy's dad, but yes, Beck's dad killed the boy's dad. But after a few days, he was so depressed about his wife, he took this very same gun that killed her and shot himself in his own head. Beck was the one who found him." Which basically means a kid came through the gates. Beck's mom went out, tried to take the kid home, help the kid get back home. But then the dad found her, freaked out, shot her. Beck's dad goes out, kills that guy, takes the gun. Who knows what happened to the kid? Takes the gun back home. Day later, kills himself. And Beck experienced all of this as a literal kid. I wonder if he has perchance some trauma.
Yeah.
Basically, there's this very long scene where, it's way too long, where Donnie coerces, forcefully Leona towards him to the point where, he's, straight up assaulting her. He's, pulling it out, assaulting her, in the process of pulling out, and she manages to turn her head from him, forcefully kissing her at the same time, to a scream, which Beck hears, and he comes barreling, okay? He comes barreling out, and he sees what's happening, and he instantly understands, and he fucking bodies Donnie, okay? You say what you want about Beck, but this man was ready to kill Donnie. He was ready to beat him so badly. He died. The only reason he didn't is because Leona wouldn't let him.
Oh, Leona!
I know!
Why are you reasonable? What the hell? Please just listen. He already killed people before. What's one more?
I know, right? She contemplates letting him. But is worried about the consequences with the other magical creatures. I'm like, bitch. That's a
Considering how they acted towards everything else, maybe they're also reasonable towards things like this. I don't know. I don't know.
So, she stops him from killing him, right? And then they start kissing. And she can taste the blood of Donnie on his lips, and it turns her on. And then they bang.
That is from Donnie? Okay.
They bang. Donnie is half unconscious, and they are only, 3 feet away from him. Banging.
Yeah, this dude almost got beaten to death, and you almost got assaulted, but we're gonna fuck 2 feet away. Okay.
Also, Beck says that he wishes Donnie is conscious enough to hear them so that he knows what he's missing out on. And then he says that he loves her. So, all around a great scene. Post-coital, this whole entire thing was basically him going to a frenzy. So after the frenzy, after they bang, he's worried that she was harmed in any of what just happened, and she just laughs it off, saying she's used to creeps, copping a feel and whatnot.
What the fuck?
Moving on, they never talked about her being engaged. They, she, other than the very beginning when she said her fiancé is rich and he can, pay for her freedom, in the very, very beginning, they never once have since talked about her fiancé. So, Beck low-key worries that, maybe, like, were they having a troubled relationship before this, or, like, was she in love with him, all this stuff. Something in Leona's eyes makes Beck believe she could love him too. He recognizes loving someone and claiming ownership are not the same thing, so she can't stay there. And she...
You know, I feel like this book is ridiculous, and they say actually, like, real stuff like that, and it's like, you know, but it doesn't cancel everything else. Like,
I know.
there's
Dude,
so
just remember, Bestie, reminder, we haven't gone to the incest yet. And we're an hour.
Oh my god. That's what I said, there's like some semblance of sense. And then everything else exists, so it cancels out any semblance of sense.
On the theme of, no sense, and whatnot, it switches to her POV, and, she's more rattled by him saying he loved her than everything that happened with Donnie. Something tells me a girl needs therapy if being assaulted and almost murdered is less traumatic and less worrying than a man saying he loves you. The man you have consensually been banging for weeks.
Casual things. My earbuds just died.
I noticed. Yeah.
She's like, casual things, he, and then she's like, never mind that's not casual things. Like, hear me out, Misty. I don't know why my earbuds die so fast when we record, because I can listen to music for like nearly 2 hours sometimes before they die. So I think it's you're draining the batteries, because I'm pretty sure they were fully charged.
It's just my magical power. She decides she will revisit everything that happened with Donnie in her head, because the memory of Beck beating him up still turns her on. Yep, he tells her she has to go and explains he'll give her the memory potion so she doesn't want to go. But she doesn't want to go. He's all like, hey, because of this, I know now that I have to let you go. That's the only way you can be happy. So here's this potion that will take away your memory. Everything will be fine. Don't worry about it. And she's like, excuse me, I don't want to go. And then she starts crying. You know, this is what breaks her and makes her cry. We're only on page 5 of my notes. To make it so he can't force her to leave, she locks herself in the cage, because the cage is still there.
I don't even know what to say at this point.
She tries to use sex to make him let her stay. Like, she's in the cage, he's outside the cage. She starts playing with herself, and she's like, hey, I'll unlock the doors and let you in, to bang me, if you let me stay. But he literally breaks the bars on the cage so that he can fuck her. And she's like, damn, that's hot.
I mean, this is literally just what happened before, but like different, but like, okay.
I know, right? And I quote her thought process. I know I'm being dramatic. I know Beck is making me leave because he loves me, but it's just so unfair. At first he says I can't leave, and now he says I must. It's like I have no say or anything when it comes to him. It's almost, and hear me out, like he kidnapped her. Can you tell I'm tired with this book?
I'm also tired.
She's been happier with Beck than ever before. You know, that just says more about your life in general than it says about your relationship with Beck. I'm just saying that. She recognizes now her relationship with Lawrence was just using him for security rather than finding it in herself. She questions how she'll know if her love for Beck is real if she doesn't try to survive without it. So, like, obviously she has to leave to figure out if she actually truly loves him. Which, like, what the fuck? Yeah, she goes on a night walk, to, like, clear her head, kind of like the beginning of the book. And while she's out there, Lawrence
I just had a very cursed thought, and if it's correct, I'm gonna scream.
What's okay,
no, I'm just gonna wait until you tell me the rest.
Okay, Lawrence finds her when she's on her little walk in the middle of the night. And he seems more mad than glad to have found her. He found her because he was tracking her phone, via GPS and stuff, which makes you question, how did it take him a month to find her? And the answer is there was okay. Apparently, I didn't write down the reason why, but I know the reason why, which is basically she wrote a letter that don't come after me. That's why no one thought to go after her. Until now. Other than the first night or two when she was kidnapped, she never expected someone to actually come looking for her. Lawrence tells her he was worried about her, which surprises her. She contemplates going back to Beck. And to quote her thought process again, and I quote, Beck doesn't want me to stay, I don't want to forget about him. I need something to think about if I end up marrying Lawrence and I'm subjected to his lackluster lovemaking for the rest of my life. And then she goes back home. She goes back to LA and is having a hard time getting back to her old life. During the first 2 weeks there, she just spends her time journaling. Like, that's all she does. And the reason for the journaling is to an attempt to figure out when she started to fall for Beck. Like, almost down to the second. Like, she wants to figure out as close as possible so she can decipher if she had real feelings for him. Like a normal person. Most nights she quietly cries in bed, and Lawrence doesn't notice this, because they're a happy couple. They don't talk about the wedding and whether or not they should postpone it or anything like that. But Lawrence keeps paying the planner, so things just keep on happening. So they're still getting married. It's easier for her to go with the flow and let Lawrence handle everything, than try to take control of her life again. Despite the fact that, at the end of her time with Beck, she was thinking about how, what did you send me a photo of? She was thinking about how she should find security in herself and not in a man, Oh my god, is that a puppy? Oh my god, did Pearl also send me a puppy?
She's also right here because I had to go check something for my mother, and I almost stepped on her because it's dark in here.
My sister sending me a Snapchat of a sticky note that says, "Don't have a mental breakdown." With and then the caption of the Snapchat is, "A causeless drug / goal / to do item." I feel this too well. Anyways, kiss the Ebbie Ray for me. So one day, she gets hungry, and she recognizes that she hasn't tried to reconnect with Victoria, Lawrence's sister, at all since
she had kisses. You're welcome.
Thank you. Since she got back to LA. Since she's hungry, she decides to pick up food at a sushi burrito place that both her and Victoria like.
Sorry,
and
hold
take
on.
it to Victoria. Yeah.
Hold on.
I took the note, everything about sushi burritos grossed me out.
Yes. Also, okay, you are living in LA. Why are we going to a silent retreat in Florida for a bachelorette party that's close to
Because no one wants to talk to her, I assume. Yeah. Also,
in
my
Florida?
my other note about this part, about her going to Victoria's place is, this is when the incest tag came back to the forefront of my mind, and I went, oh fuck. Just a quick reminder. Basically, there's this really long scene, that both made me laugh and scream in pain, where, she decides, knocking isn't for her, so she just enters Victoria's apartment, and Victoria comes out, with messed up hair and wearing a robe, and she, tries to brush her off, and it's like, oh, well, I have things to do, and blah, blah, blah. Leona notices the, robe and the messed up hair, so she assumes she has someone in bed, and she's like, oh, I totally get it, and just, goes to leave, but as she's going to leave, she notices someone's shoes that she's bought. Lawrence's shoes. And so she's like, did your brother leave your shoes here? And Victoria makes a face. And then Leona, the inkling comes into Leona's head, and she's like, they were always too close or touchy. But, like, I was an only child who wasn't close to her family, and I thought that was normal. And Victoria's explanation about it when Lawrence comes out and it's, like, officially confirmed, when she's like, oh my god, you're fucking your sister? And Lawrence is like, you can't tell me, like, you weren't fucking another guy out there in the woods, and, you, like, we can't be happy together, we can't make each other happy, I found someone who can make me happy, all this stuff. And she's like, oh my god, you're fucking your sister? Victoria's explanation is that they're only half-siblings.
That doesn't make it better! I'm gonna rip my skin
Needless
off.
to say, Leona is repulsed.
Like a normal person should be, yeah. Wait, no, how long have they been, was it like, while they were together, after she disappeared?
Literally the whole entire fucking time they've been together. Which means, I know she doesn't do it, but she needs to really get, some things checked out medically, because,
No, imagine, Oh, like, I feel like there's, okay, yeah, you're with someone and they cheat on you with someone else. That, like, feels gross to you for obvious reasons, but, like, oh my god!
Now, to quote his explanation, you ready for this?
Heavy Ray, you don't need to hear this poor, terrible knowledge of you, Ray. Close your big old ears. I'm covering her ears.
Okay, good. And to quote Lawrence, Victoria and I aren't in love. We just know each other's bodies better than anyone else. It's purely physical. And then she says, are you trying to make me puke? How the fuck did you expect that to make me feel better? And she tries to get away, but he grabs harder. And then he says, and I quote, we can make this work. Don't pretend that you enjoy fucking me. We can get married, have kids, and we can both fuck whomever we want. Come on, don't pretend that you weren't shacking up with some guy when I found you. You're wearing a man's shirt. You would never have survived in the wilderness on your own. And then she says, and I quote, I could have fucked an entire football team, and it wouldn't even hold a candle to the fact that you're having sex with your sister.
Real.
And then he threatens her if she tells anyone. For some reason, she actually does not tell anyone. Ever.
What the fuck? I would tell everybody. What the hell?
I know, right? She just leaves.
There's a puppy in my bed.
She just leaves him. That's it.
There's a puppy.
That's what happened.
In my bed.
My notes on this whole entire thing. That was like a whole entire chapter that like I had to stop in the middle of and had a breakdown. Is that this whole entire thing seems more like a catalyst to break them up then it's like breezed past, because like literally what happens is she just leaves him, goes back to her life before she was engaged to him, all that stuff, and she just doesn't think about him. The end. But it's just breeze past. But why can't they just break up for normal reasons, like them not loving each other like a normal couple? Like, why did they have to bang their sibling? Like, ignore what's happening, sister. That is now here.
Honestly, so poor Pearl for having to hear this, even just in passing.
I know, right? Both the dog and Pearl had to listen to those siblings banging. So she starts working paycheck to paycheck again, but she feels liberated, not relying on anyone but herself. She's basically living above this diner that she works at. But every night she's lonely for Beck. She would do anything to be with him again. She believes there's no way he could find her, and she can't afford to fly back to Florida from LA. I don't know how she's living in LA. Probably just working in it down there.
Sorry, she can't afford to fly to Florida, but she can afford to live in LA.
I know, right? And she's in her own apartment. Oh, okay. How the hell did you lash out from the band so fast? Oh my god, no, my sister just stole my watch to check, like, her heart rate and whatnot, right? Because it has a sharp heart rate monitor. That's how I was telling you my heart rate the whole time I was reading Starfish, right? And instead of, like, undoing the normal clasp on the actual band, she, like, unclasped it from the, like, the watch itself, like, for the part, and it's really hard to do. It, like, takes me an hour every time.
I used to do it all the time in high school. This used to be my watch.
I know this used to be your watch, but still, it's a magical power. Anyways.
Your sister was a weirdo. I thought that was established.
So, she spends most nights getting herself off at the thought of Beck. And then someone breaks into her apartment. It's this whole thing. She is, like, hiding underneath her covers because if, like, the man can't find or can't see her, therefore she's not there, blah, blah, blah. It's Beck. They bang. The wizard tracked her. I'm speed going to last chapter because it's so dumb. He wore a hoodie, sunglasses, and a mask on a plane, and security never stopped him. And this is the most unbelievable part to me. He literally wore a ski mask, sunglasses, and a hoodie on a plane. No one asked him to take any of this off. Post 9/11. Excuse me.
Maybe that would exist in this universe, but that's fucking hilarious.
Anyways, they go back to Florida. Everyone at the Creature Village treats her like everyone else. She finally gets to give him a blowjob. He makes her waffles. Her life is perfect at the end. The end. That's it. My final
If
two
he's
thoughts.
just sitting in her bed, like she's sitting, like not laying, she's literally just sitting here, staring at the wall.
That's so funny, Bella just came up, and she's now just sitting next to my bed. My last two thoughts about this book are, what happens if she gets pregnant, if she can get pregnant, because they're technically different species? And also, if she does get pregnant, is there a magical creature gynecologist? Because
I imagine there is, because, I mean, other magical creatures do have children, correct?
Yes, Beck had parents, so I'm gonna go with yes.
Oh, they have wizards. I imagine the wizards double as, like, doctors.
This book is better than the gynecological science that is in Star Wars prequels, because, like, if you get that joke, you get that joke.
I don't.
I know.
I'm not gonna ask you.
It's a funny joke because it's a sci-fi show with all this, like they've got laser guns and laser swords and all this stuff. But a woman, is a little sad and dies giving birth to twins.
I mean, I feel like that's still reasonable though, because even nowadays you can still die in childbirth, even though it is like rare.
But there were no like warning signs of anything beforehand. She's just like slightly sad because her husband became a murderer, and then she dies because her husband became a murderer.
No, she didn't die in childbirth. She died of a broken heart, obviously.
Basically, yeah.
Poor children, I guess. I don't know. What the fuck are we speaking about now? Oh my god.
That's what happens. Do you have any final thoughts or questions about this book?
Why is the cover so good? Like, it's like classy. The cover is classy and it's like actually kind of beautiful. And it does not match the book at all.
I know because I read it.
I'm so glad I didn't have to actually read it. There's a puppy in my bed.
I'm jealous. There's a puppy next to my bed, though. Anything else you want to talk about before I do the closing stuff?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Next episode is the first book in the Wicked Villain series, Desperate Measures, which is a reread for me. I am currently reading it. I'm 4% in. I just read the first chapter last night. Did you send me a photo of puppy?
Multiple.
I'm talking to Stingray, not you. Oh my god, that's in every way. Oh my god, that's in every way.
I was talking to Stingray.
So, that's the next week's episode. Another erotica because we had to switch around this one with the.
When are we recording the Trish 6 Venom episode?
Probably in the next 2 weeks.
That's such a big chunk of time.
Actually, wait a second. Give me a hot second, because I can possibly reach. You know what? Why would I reach when I can just bring my laptop with me? I have it written down when that episode's supposed to go up, and the sticky notes over the heel. That is the episode that goes up after the Desperate Measures episode. So, actually, possibly next week if you want.
Yes, I want, as soon as possible.
That's the episode that goes up the 9th. And then
There's
we
gonna
have,
are we so excited? There's gonna be a mostly me episode. I'm gonna be speaking so much. People are gonna love it.
I
That's
know,
a
right?
joke.
The way that the way that June is set up with, the way the weeks are set up, there's gonna be 5 episodes normally. 3 of which being Wicked Villain books. Good thing they're all gay-esque. I'm not gonna go much into it, right now, but there's this thing that she does where, she will just be talking about the characters, or the characters will just be thinking about their past experiences, sexually, and it just, like, oh yeah, every man or woman I've slept with, blah blah blah, and then just moved on. Like, it's just a thing where everyone bangs everyone, regardless of gender. It's just a thing in her books. So they're all gay. So that's a fun time. So yeah. But there's also a thing in June that may be happening where we read extra books and talk about them, all being gay, of course. Of course, why would we do it any other way? And there being 2 episodes a week for Pride Month. Because, of course,
Okay.
what I need to do is edit more.
Another question. I know. I'm so sorry. Like, I wish I could help more, but I can't. Like, I literally cannot. Secondly, should we make a podcast episode about this month's Buddy Read that neither of us has started yet?
I mean, that's a gay one.
That's why I mentioned it.
Yeah, it's a gay one. That's why, yeah. I think that's...
And then The Way to the Stars. We're reading that. I'm so excited. Wait.
Yeah, that's going up in July.
Still.
The first week of July, actually.
So, are we officially rereading To Be Devoured for an episode for Pride Month?
Yes.
Okay, I think it's still on my Kindle. I don't know.
I gotta download it on my Kindle again. So. But,
That's so funny.
We gotta figure out 3 other episodes, probably, and when to put them. I do not know how to spell burrito. I know how to spell tequila. I don't know how to spell that brand of tequila, but I can spell tequila, child. She's not a child, she's 21. I'm sorry, Internet. She's 21. She can legally drink.
I was gonna say, only smart drinking here. Smart legal drinking.
But yeah, I'll figure out when the extra episodes go up. Probably later tonight. Probably earlier in the week. I'm just saying. So there will be at least 4 extra episodes. One of them will be To Be Devoured. It's a fun time. And that is that. I think that's all the information I have to give right into this. I gotta figure out when we're gonna do Legendborn episode 2. It has to be set.
I need to reread The Wicker King. I haven't reread The Wicker King this year, and then when I do that, I will take notes, etc., etc.
I mean, you gotta.
The 2 episodes we just speak about the longest, the Trist 6 Venom episode and the Wicker King episode, we just haven't even done yet, and it's so sad. We've been doing this all year.
I know.
Basically.
No, you gotta reread Wicker King because that's one of the episodes in July, bestie.
Oh, I'm rereading it next month. I'm rereading it in July, and I will be rereading it in September. I know for sure. Obviously.
That's the first time I read it was last September for your birth.
Are you gonna reread it for my birthday?
Maybe.
You know it's amazing. You know it's so good. You know you had the best time ever.
You know what we should also do before your birth? We should do an Evelyn Hugo episode since I'm gonna reread it.
Before my birth?
Annotate it and give it to someone for their birth?
Yeah. I think that's a good idea. Could you reread it next month?
I could try to fit it in.
I believe in you. That's something you could do. Anybody can do it, you could do it.
True. Yeah, I don't have any episodes planned past mid-July, so I can start writing those down. But, yeah.
Should I reread Evelyn Hugo? I already have a 16-book long TBR.
I don't even know how long my TBR for June is, but it's already long, and I'm excited.
A lot of them are rereads in under 200 pages, so... And multiple graphic novels.
I don't know if I will have enough time next month for Evelyn Hugo. This is what happens at the end of every episode. We just go on tangents. But I do have another tangent we could bring up. But July, I believe, there is a possibility where it's a more mood reading-esque reading month for me.
Oh, hell yeah.
So, easily can fit it in them. Now, other tangent we can go into. Since we recorded... Because the last episode we recorded was Ice Plant Barbarians 3.
That was so long ago.
I know, that was my birth. Which means, since then, we have watched my favorite movie. In case you have any thoughts you want to bring up.
I don't want to go down into that rabbit hole right now, bestie. I don't think I can handle that rabbit hole mentally right now.
What are you talking about? It's a completely normal rabbit hole.
Uh-huh. We should watch it again, though.
We should. For those who do not know, it is, I should, one of these days, I should read the short story that's based off of.
We should both do it and then do a podcast episode about the story in the movie.
Yes. But it's like one of my favorite movies. It's The Arrival, the one with Amy Adams and Jeremy Renner. I don't remember the director's name. The soundtrack for it, spectacular. The vibes for it, spectacular. Also, I just love anything that has to do with time. I am obsessed with time stuff. Like, I watched Doctor Who as a kid. Like, a lot of sci-fi stuff I watched as a kid had to do with time stuff. So, like, also, the plot twist to the movie. Ooh, literally, Stingray was dying, and I was just sitting there giggling, having a good time.
Yeah, you're good at that, aren't you?
Yes, that was me the whole time you read Legend Board.
I know, I noticed.
It was really fun. But yeah,
I hope you know if I will throw Legend Board at your head one day. Just know, like, directly square in the head with the hard copy.
I own it, so it's fine.
I'll throw it at your head, okay?
Just come out my walls, and you can throw it at my head. It's sitting on
You're right. I'm already in the walls. It won't be that difficult. It'll just take a minute. It's kind of cramped in here.
I even have flip as hardback, so you can throw both of them.
Directly at your head, yes.
Yes.
I will even drive you to the hospital to get your concussion treated, even though I cannot drive.
That's so funny. But yes, Arrival, good time. Stingray may have had a breakdown afterwards. It was fine.
Yeah, and then I had to go into town, and I was staying with... Oh my god, it was too much.
I can imagine. I had a good time. I was just sitting there just wait for it. And then you were like, wait a second, as the plot stuff was, as like the twist at the end was happening. I was like, I told you the last time this, go freaking wild. But also the way the aliens look in that movie.
I miss my little aliens.
Whoever designed
I miss my little... The hands, the tentacles in the hands. It looked like they look like giant hands, but they're actually like bigger than what they can see.
This makes complete sense to normal people. I guess we should stop recording this episode or something.
I suppose. Okay. I don't know.
It's an hour and a half long.
Well, you could at least cut out like a half hour of it of just us speaking.
No, I keep that shit in. At the end of every episode, it's just 10 minutes of us just talking about random stuff.
It adds to the lore.
It adds to the lore. I did say this is just us normal conversations about book stuff. But we wait to do it together in a voice recording that I also record. And then I put on the internet. For me and one other person to listen to. Actually, 3 other people.
I hope you know when the Wicker King episode and the True Six Venom episode come out, I'll actually sit down and listen to those ones. The other ones I've listened to, I've just kind of put on 3 times speed and let them play.
Is it just to hear my voice?
Sure.
Listen!
Whatever helps
you say you just watch my videos to listen to my voice.
I do. I haven't watched your videos in a while. It's so sad. I miss watching
No one has. It's fine.
I listen. You know, if I could have, I would have, but I will. I always will.
Videos and watching videos. I'm just gonna say this now. Everyone go watch the Punk 57.
Hey, it has 10 views now.
Oh my god, 3 of them are me.
Apparently, 3 to 6 of them are also one other person as well. So it's fine.
I love that. Anyway,
and then I had 455 subscribers. someone unsubscribed and rude.
How
That was
rude.
such a nice number.
No, Stingray did a video of Punk 57. The first half, normal vlog stuff. Second half, just screen recordings of all the voice messages sent to me while the reading process was happening, while there's memes up on the screen, and I literally
make your sister watch the video.
I may make the sister watch. I'll see if she wants to watch.
It would be funny.
She's
no, I
nodding
said force
her head,
her.
no. We'll see.
No, like, tie her somewhere, like, hold open her eyes. I'm joking.
That's totally normal.
Inject it into her brain. I don't know.
Sure. But with that, I'm gonna end the episode. I'm gonna click the button now.
Please end.